KMC Fair in Goldsboro YMCA yesterday. So I'm feeling great.
Okay, all right, well, let's get into it. Bruce, what's your favorite color?
NC State red, baby.
Okay. Well, you
mixed
have
family. My wife went to Carolina. So
she married down?
in a lot of ways.
yeah. So, we talked about so many things. Really quickly, as I told you, I grew up pretty much at the YMCA. I did after school programs and summer camps and walked across the street from high school to play basketball. Probably kept myself out of trouble and had so many great mentors and mentees from those days. Can you give people a quick history of the YMCA real quick if they don't know?
Yeah, so there used to be multiple YMCAs in this area. Raleigh Y with the CEO and the board of directors of Durham Y, Chapel Hill Y. We have all merged and opened a number of new Ys. So we have 18 Ys in a 7-county region and 3 overnight camps, Camp Seagull and Camp Seafair on the coast of North Carolina on the Neuse River, and Camp Canada, which I think your kids have been to.
Yeah, our kids did go to Camp Canada, and at first it was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. And then when we picked them up, they said they didn't want to leave. So it sounded like it was an amazing experience.
My youngest daughter went to camp, and when I picked her up from Camp Seafair, the counselor said she didn't cry the whole time, just breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime. And I was like, well, that seems like a lot. But as she grew up, she became a staff member there and worked there for 5 summers. So it's camp's all about helping to build independence and learning to break away from it.
And if you are a parent in the room looking to get your kids signed up for the Y, you need to, when the deadline approaches, you need to be on the ready to sign up for that camp because it fills up fast. That's how it is.
Get ready to get it. That's right.
So, take us back. Your journey to the Y.
Yeah, so I grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Went to NC State. I hear a faithful person over here. Went to NC State. I needed a parking place at State, and you had to buy a commuter sticker. And I was poor, and I couldn't afford it. But if you worked at the Y, you could park there free and walk to campus. So I got a job at the Y, driving a bus into marginalized communities and bringing kids back to the Y to play in the gym, to swim, learn to swim, and have a little devotion. And then we would take them back. And I did not know at the time that I would be at the Y 41 years later. Probably going to die at my desk. But it's been an incredible journey for me. When I first joined the Y, there was 1 Y and 2 camps. And now, like I said, we have really grown over the years. So it's a pretty significant organization that's changed my life and changed the lives of many, many other folks.
You threw out some numbers that I could not remember yesterday. There were a lot of numbers, but you started talking about number of staff, number of people, number of Ys, number of members. Can you rifle those off?
Yeah, so about 230,000 folks participate at one of our Ys in this region each year, either as a member or in a program or as a donor or volunteer. We ran 6,155 W-2 forms in February, 450 full-time staff, and then the rest of them are part-time staff and many seasonal staff that come in the summer, camp counselors, lifeguards. Over 3,000 of our staff are under the age of 22, which is why I have gray hair. It's kind of like Washington, D.C. We're being run by a lot of young folks. If you've ever been up there to a legislative office, an 18-year-old greets you. So it's kind of scary. But a lot of enthusiasm with that age. So good things going on.
And then to jump into the Chatham Y, give us sort of a history and a backstory working with Preston and that kind of vision. Where did that start from?
Yeah, we had a small YMCA, a little storefront Y in Chatham County, and it was part of the Chapel Hill Y before we merged. And when we merged, Tim Smith from Chatham Development came to us and he said, I want a YMCA in Chatham County. And we said, well, we do too, but that's not at the top of our priority list. And he said, well, how could it get to the top of your priority list? And we're like, well, if you give us a Y, it would jump right up to the top. And he's like, all right, I'll give you a Y. And he had already given us land and a pool in Cary, Wakefield, and Knightdale. And this time he said, I'll give you the land and I'll build the shell of the building. And then we had to pay to upfit the inside. So we got in much earlier than we would have had we had to go through the process of getting it sort of in line with our other projects, borrow money, try to raise enough money to build a YMCA. So Chatham Development's been incredible to work with, and this Y is flourishing.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about, I'm doing some independent research, and the history of the Y goes back a long ways, but the connection here, I don't know if you realize it, but we as a community have this rare experience to actually build a town, build a county, build a city, almost a throwback to the 1800s. And ironically, some of the first organizations that were a part of those city development, that urban planning structure, were YMCAs. They served the community in a lot of different ways, from events to gymnasiums to education. And it's just kind of ironic that when you look at what's one of the first things that comes to Chatham County is the YMCA. So talk about the current enrollment or occupancy at the Y.
Yeah, so let me share a little bit about our vision, and then I'll get to that. So we've got 3 themes in our strategic plan. One is everybody is healthier. Number 2, every child and teen is resilient. And number 3, no one feels alone. So let me tell you a little story about resiliency. So like you, we've had a lot of kids that have come to the Y that maybe need additional support. And we know that we can measure resilience. And if a kid has things like independence, learns problem-solving skills, has an adult that cares about them outside of the house, they will build resilience. And then when life throws tough things at them, they will rise to the occasion instead of harming themselves or harming others or climbing under a rock. I remember a kid who may have been a lot like you. His name was Chris. I was the youth director at the Central Y. Chris came to the Y every single day for about 6-7 years. I knew his mother's phone number by heart, 677-8000, because Chris was a horrible kid. I mean, he was just a rotten kid. He was a tough kid. One time I'm driving the bus down Oberlin Road in Raleigh, and he throws a pudding cup out, and it hits a woman in the head and bashes her head. And she called the Y before I got back there, angry, of course. He taught some kids some really bad words. He lied to me before, and I discovered that. And just a tough kid, tough kid. Single family. His mom worked really hard to keep him engaged. That was years ago, probably 30 years ago. I saw his mom 3 years ago in the Walmart parking lot. I was ringing the bell for my Rotary Club for Salvation Army. And she walked up to me and she said, "Bruce Hand, you are not going to believe what happened to Chris." And I was like, "I bet I can guess." She said, "Chris is married. He's got 3 kids. He's an incredible father. He's a mechanic. He's making good money." And she said, "He's a deacon in the church, and he's there every time the doors open." And she said, "You and the YMCA were a major part of raising him." And I think folks don't understand, 25,000 folks that come to our Y are on some level of financial assistance. They come free or they get a scholarship. And so our YMCA here in Chatham County, as well as Cross Triangle, is really trying to serve folks who can afford to come, because boy, there's a lot of need with folks in middle and upper income families. But we're also trying to ensure that the YMCA is a place for everyone. And that's where you find the belonging. I always say when you're in the locker room at the Y in your boxer shorts, I know that one guy's getting Y $1 million, and the guy next to him's there paying $5 a month on financial assistance. But they don't know that. and they're talking about politics, they're talking about sports, and they're finding community with folks that they may not interact with anywhere else. And so there's a real sense of belonging and leveling at the YMCA that we're pretty proud of.
Yeah, I think that's we talked yesterday about the third place.
Yep.
In society, certainly after COVID, the third place kind of got. Raise your hands if you're familiar with the concept of the third place. And yeah, so it's an interesting concept. We've always had it. There's a place that we work, there's a place that we sleep, but then there's the third place. And it can differ. It can be church, it can be a bar, it could be the Y, it could be. But the third place is actually critical to societal functioning. It's the place where real community gets established. We like to consider ourselves a third place here at 79 West, and that's kind of our mission. And it sounds like that's the mission of the YMCA as well. So with resilience, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. When we do these interviews, I like to kind of give the audience a chance to really get to know a person. And I already thought the world of Bruce, but as we got to talk, Bruce, your resilience is earned, I believe. And
I'll share my story with you. I have 3 daughters, and my first wife in 2010 was diagnosed with colon cancer, and my girls were 6, 9, and 12 at the time, and she passed away 6 months later. So very, very short battle. So I was left trying to figure out how to raise 3 daughters. Her brother moved in with us. We called ourselves the real Full House, and actually went on Rachel Ray and met the oldest kid. I can't remember what her name was. She was on Rachel Ray. But
in the show, her name's like DJ, right?
DJ. We met DJ on Rachel Ray, which was kind of cool to be able to go with my girls and my brother-in-law. But it was really a painful time. And when I think about resilience, my girls, this kind of thing that happened in our house, I did learn to braid hair. I wrote a book called Laughter, Tears, and Braids. It was a funny house. At times it was sad, and we had to learn a lot of girly things. But I remember one time my girls were in this charity league where you had to do service. And I sent them one day, and I had bought all these canned goods and had them all tied up. I thought I was ready to go, and my oldest daughter and middle daughter walked in with all their friends, and they walked up to the table, and everybody was dropping off toothpaste and deodorant and toothbrushes, and my kids had tuna. It wasn't a food drive, it was a hygiene drive. My middle daughter started sobbing, and my oldest daughter said, walk up to the table, drop it off quickly, walk away quickly, they'll never know. She made the point that if you needed hygiene, you probably also needed canned goods. And then she said, Lucy, you might as well get used to this. This is the way it's gonna be. And so we were able, when you have an experience like that, and I see it all the time with folks coming in and out of the Y, just folks who are coming in really hurting. It's a defining experience, but when you have the support of a community, when you have your third place, it doesn't have to be the defining experience of your life. So it has really made me think about resilience in kids. When I think about my daughters going to camp, and the women that poured into them, young college women and directors of camps, and the relationships that they built and the role models that they received that I can give them, the independence that they learned, and then the belonging, the third place for them was really, really important, and then growing up to be relatively normal folks considering where they came from.
Yeah, and the small details, you met your wife at the Y, right?
Yeah, my first wife and I worked together at Y, so I'm now remarried to a woman. Very fortunate that happened for me, but yeah.
And you had mentioned yesterday some initiatives that you had talk about, and some, was it scholarships or some?
Yeah, there's a program that I'm really excited about here in Chatham County, and we've worked the school system here has been incredible to work with. We have a summer program called Y Power Scholars, and the school identifies children who are not meeting school benchmarks, and the YMCA hires teachers. We have a specific curriculum that we use, and the kids come in, and the teachers, it's basically YMCA summer school. It's a ton of fun, but summer school. These kids normally in the summer would lose about 3 months of education. It's called the summer slide. And then you come back in September and you're actually falling behind, which happens with kids from marginalized communities. Our kids gain 1.5 months of reading and 1.5 months of math and 2 months of reading in the summertime. And so when they come in 5 weeks, when they come back in the fall, they are ready to go. How many kids do we have in that program? It's about a couple hundred. I think we've got some YFX back there. And we run it at 2 sites in Chatham County. And it's really incredible. I want to expand it. We've got 3 sites in Wake County this summer. It is making an incredible difference right here in Chatham County. It's funded through grants and philanthropy. And so we're grateful for those in this room that help us with our annual campaign.
Raise your hands if you've been to the new YMCA. Okay.
Right. Some of y'all haven't joined. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, it's a really incredible facility.
Yeah, it really is.
You had mentioned some basketball, some programs, was it volleyball or basketball?
Yeah, we've got youth sports programs that we run, basketball, and many of our wives we're running soccer and t-ball and baseball, summer day camps, swim lessons,
Yep.
summer swim team, and then of course we have just a really strong group fitness program with yoga, a little bit of Pilates, a lot of step aerobics. And
Do you have 3-on-3 men's basketball?
Caitlin Harry, not yet. But we might.
All right, I'm looking for 6 people. I'm looking for 6 people who don't want to try to kill each other and sprain ankles, but also want to hoop it up a bit, consistently.
So I gotta say, I watch our risk management report, and one of the biggest injuries is 35 to 55-year-old men who don't know how to hang up basketball shoes. So
It's the Toby Keith song.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as I once was,
exactly.
but I'm as good once as I ever was.
That's true. That is true. Yes.
You reach that point, something happens. I feel like I turned 35, I got glasses, a hernia, and I woke up sore every day.
Wait till you turn 60, buddy. It gets worse.
Okay,
Gets worse.
Okay, well, that sounds awful. Do you say it again?
We may be older, but we're very immature.
Yeah.
That's right. If you're going to the Y, you could look like this.
It's a goal of mine.
Yeah.
You are my goal. You are my body goal. We have covered a lot of ground here, and I want to make sure that you were kind enough to kind of go off script and kind of share more of your personal story and your perspective. Are there any things before we get into the Q&A that you think top of mind you want to share about Chatham Y or the Triangle Y sort of collective?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and we talked a little bit about being healthy and resilience, one of the biggest things that you find at the Y, and boy, there are a lot of fitness clubs and wellness centers that folks use that are critically important in helping people become healthier. My wife sometimes goes to a Pilates studio right down the road because something that the Y doesn't offer, and it's really something she's interested in. She also works out at the Y, I want to clarify that. But the YMCA is really striving to figure out through volunteerism, through coming to the YMCA, we've got Thrive programs, we call them for seniors, to figure out how to connect folks. So Vivek Murthy, who was the former Surgeon General, wrote a whole paper on the epidemic of loneliness when he rolled out of the office a couple of years ago. He said that loneliness has the same effects as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's incredible. And so one of the things that we're really centered on is figuring out how to ensure that folks can connect and build friendships, that when they come in the Y, somebody knows their name, and that we give them opportunities to volunteer so that they feel like they matter, right? One of my biggest fears is retiring because I'm afraid I won't matter anymore. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to bring value? And we're working really, really hard to solve that issue for children, teens, and adults. Now think about teens right now. Y'all, they're struggling. We are seeing greater instances of anxiety and depression than we have ever seen before in teenagers. And so trying to figure out how to partner. We're partnering with Boys and Girls Club. We're partnering with Scouts. And I would encourage any of y'all in here who might see a partnership opportunity with the YMCA, connect with some of our staff, because there's some great things. You go to lunch, and the next thing you know, Boys and Girls Club in Wake County and the Y are sharing a camp out in Bailey, North Carolina. We're asking for a big gift in conjunction with the Scouts. So there's so many ways for us to partner and help get at loneliness, resilience, and help. So think about those things. I challenge you all to do that.
Yeah, and to kind of echo from last month, we had our water rights conversation the previous month. Kirk Bradley spoke on the kind of the time is now. Like if you want to see change, you have to be the change. You have to get out. You have to volunteer, connect, and kind of that's where we're at. I think as a society right now, we're at a place where it's like it's ours to win or lose. And no one's going to do it for us. We have to get in, especially now. Like I said, it's like simulation of an 1800s town experiment. We get to build it, and we get to build it one relationship at a time. I want to open up the floor to some questions.
Great.
But